What did you find was the best thing for you to do when knockbacks hit you? So you said you had an injury at a time where you was playing well.
Yeah.
Millwall released you. What did you do to help yourself get through those times?
So yeah, there were a lot of points where in my head I'm thinking, oh God, like is this still gonna work out for me in the end? How are things gonna pan out? But I think having the support system that I did around me kind of kept me going. I think my dad has always been a big supporter of me. He's always been around, offering me advice and positivity. And I think within myself as well, having that belief, although things ain't working out at the minute, things in football just change like that. So just having that belief that you're good enough, and football is a game of opinions. You just gotta prove yourself right at the end of the day. It's not about what XYZ thinks. If you always have that belief that you're good enough and that confidence, just having that confidence to go out and show it, I think that was a big thing for me.
Was it like a big step up when you changed from non-league to pro?
I felt like it was. I believe the biggest step up for me was the Forest Green to Barnsley move. So going from the conference to the championship, felt that was a really big jump. I think you could really notice the difference in the speed of thought. So players' movement. I think a lot of players are thinking one or two passes ahead. So I think being really sharp in the mind is one of the biggest jumps.
What do you think are the three key attributes to have as a centre back?
So as a centre back,
professional football,
I'd say firstly, one that wasn't an attribute of mine to begin with is being loud and communicating on the pitch. I think being a younger player, as I was growing up, you're not really used to being loud on the pitch. But I found that in my time at Dulwich, my centre-back partners, they were always more experienced, and I kind of learned from them to just always be talking, and it just helps just organising people around you, especially out of possession. I think that's more important than when you're in possession. So communication. Number two, I'd say it kind of intertwines a bit. I think leadership, being a defender, you have to kind of force the forward players and the midfielders to want to defend, and you need to get them where you want to be. So leading the team and making sure that you're solid and stable, because at the end of the day, when we concede, it's always the defenders or the goalie that gets looked at. So making sure the players ahead of you are doing their jobs as well is really important. And lastly, I think a big one, I think it's different league to league, but I think in England, aerially is really important. There's a lot of teams that are really direct. And I think being strong in the air, even if you're not maybe as strong in the air, maybe like your positioning and your timing of your headers, things like that, just making sure you can win as many aerial challenges as you can. So yeah, I'd say communication, leadership, and aerially.
You see, when you was at Mill and they kind of let you go, how do you mentally push yourself to go to non-league?
Okay, so yeah, that's a good one, because obviously as a teenager, you're basically being told that we don't think you're good enough to make it as a professional, so we're going to let you go. So it was really tough, and as I said earlier, I kind of took a month and a bit out the game just to try and find my headspace. So yeah, it was really tough mentally, but having good people around me, to keep pushing you and saying that take a little bit of time that you need, but football's always there. So when you're ready to get back into it, just believe in yourself. And I think being there for so long, you kind of realize that you must be doing something right to be in the academy for 6-7 years. So you don't just become a bad player. So yeah, just having that belief and good people around me really helped me to get back into it. And then once I started enjoying the game again, yeah, things just took off from there.
What would you say is the best level of non-league to kickstart a career in the game?
Okay, so that's a tricky one. I'd say just finding a level where where a manager's just willing to put you in. So I don't think it's really a specific level, because players get picked up from conference, from the Ryman, but I'd say that the first 4 divisions underneath League 2, they're all great places to showcase what you can do. I think in any of them leagues, if you're playing week in, week out, you know, consistently well, there's always going to be people watching, you know, from the higher leagues. So yeah, just any of them leagues, just get playing regularly, consistently, and yeah, you'll get picked up if you're doing well.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, have you ever contemplated going abroad, or what's your perspective on playing abroad?
Okay, so at the end of my season, my second year at Barnsley, during that a period there was actually an interest from a team abroad in France, but obviously my situation was a bit different. Obviously, I had 2 little ones already by then, so I kind of, ideally for me, I wanted to stay in England, but I felt like maybe if I didn't have kids, or my perspective could have been different, you know, it would have been something that I would look at even more so. But obviously growing up and having the 2 little ones, it would have been, I think, in terms of them and their growth, it would have been difficult for them, maybe either coming over or me being over whilst they're here. It would have been a tough one on both sides. But yeah, I don't think it's a bad idea. You know, I think a lot of more younger players are looking at that route now. Obviously, a big one that's done really well is Jadon Sancho. You know, and I think since he's proved that you can go out to different countries and do well there, you know, it helps. You know, it opens up avenues back in England and other big leagues. So yeah, I would. It's never something that I would instantly shut down. You know, something that I think all players should be open to.
How did you cope with doing football and reaching a high level while also doing university?
Yeah, so that was probably one of the most difficult parts for me. I think I probably found that harder than just training every day, because I was working at the time and I was playing semi-pro, and then obviously uni as well, because to be able to support myself, and I just had the little one, I had to make sure that I was doing things, a lot of different things. And then obviously with the uni side, I was always taught to have that backup plan whilst I was in the Dulwich Academy. So yeah, juggling those 3 things were really difficult for me. But you know, I think having my little one really helped. You know, provided me with that inspiration to want to do the best that I could. But I think regardless, you know, I've always wanted to complete stuff that I've started. So I felt, you know, football's not a guarantee, but I'm enjoying it. So let me just keep on playing, keep doing well. Then with uni, there were times where it was hard, like trying to meet deadlines and things like that. But just getting any help that you can, whether it's from the lecturers or whatever, just helping you through it and just keep grinding it out. You know, there's lots of times where you just want to think, oh, this is long, but you know, just keeping mentally strong and just wanting to finish things that you started.
Yeah, I just wanted to ask more about what you eat and stuff. How many meals do you have a day, and what are the most common things you eat? Is it more meat, more pasta?
Okay, so that kind of depends on the week that we have. So if it's a week where there's not a midweek game, that we just have a game Saturday and then another game next week Saturday. In the early breakfast, I'd usually have a cereal or with toast and things like that. And then after training, if it's a harder session, you'd want to have more carbs, things like pasta, rice, obviously with maybe meat on the side, so with chicken. but you really want to carb load when you've had a big session, just to kind of get your energy back, and the protein obviously help repair some muscles and things like that. So it kind of, yeah, it's that balance. I'd usually have about 4 meals a day, I'd say. So I'd have breakfast, then I'd have lunch after training, then I'd have an early evening meal, which is a bit lighter, just something to keep me going until dinner, then have dinner. I try to have dinner around 8 o'clock. And then dinner would be, again, protein with carbs, maybe not so much before bed. But yeah, on the day, say a Thursday and a Friday, building up to a game, I try and, you know, increase my carb intake just to make sure I've got lots of energy for the game. And obviously, throughout the week, I'd have lots of water. Obviously, that provides your body with the hydration you need. Because once you're dehydrated, you kind of lose your sharpness in your head and things like that. So making sure I stay hydrated, I think that's one of the key things I've picked up the last few years. Because maybe when I was a little bit younger, I think I maybe didn't drink enough water.
How important would you say your grounding was from Dulwich to get to where you are now?
I'd say that it was, I'd say it was essential, because I think the most crucial part in a player's career is often them early years. So like, say between 15 and 18, 19, them years are crucial, because what you learn through them years kind of shapes how you'll be throughout the rest of your career. So obviously being at Dulwich, they were a non-league team, low down the leagues, but the way the setup was, they done it really professionally. You know, they made sure players were always on time, attending what they needed to attend. Even for games, you know, they used to make us have to wear a shirt and tie. You know, it don't seem like a big thing, but you know, having that discipline for everyone to know, yeah, we've got to wear a shirt, and like, we're going to play football, but you know, just having that discipline to always be in the right attire, attending things that we need to, it played a really big role, and that kind of, it carries on with me throughout my career. Even through the setbacks when I weren't playing, you know, they were always approachable for me to ask them what I needed to ask, like why am I playing, or what can I do to play, or what can I do here to improve. So I think having that early on in my career really set the ground for me to just elevate from there.